Welcome to Autofaze. I'm Braeden.
And I'm Braeden with TymaPhoto.
I thought we'd do kind of something different today, kind of like a photographer's video podcast per se. I think we should call it In Between a Hot Rod and a Toolbox. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Very literal.
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, that show Between Two Ferns, right? Isn't that a show?
Sure.
Where they talk
I'll take
about
your word
stuff?
for it.
I don't know, whatever. Anyway, man, I don't even know how we became friends on social media, like maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I saw the lighting stuff you were doing.
Oh, yeah.
And,
so he started doing light painting like 2 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
And so I've been doing light painting for like 4 years. And like 3 years ago, I decided I was going to just drive up. He's a member on the
Highway Creepers.
Highway Creepers,
Oh,
yeah.
right here.
I didn't want to mess it up. And so I decided I was going to drive out there. They do a big show every year. It's in April, right?
Yep, April 25th at the other side in Kearney, Nebraska.
And so it's a pretty cool show. Tons of cars. And so I decided to go out and we shot it. And we actually did some solo shoot stuff. And then it got dark. And I just threw out a crazy idea that we would try and light paint as many cars as we could in an hour. And actually, one of those pictures is right here on my wall. That's actually his old shoebox.
Yep, old Marge.
And yeah, and so that car, the stance on that thing was awesome. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to drive out there to see that car in person, because at the time he was thinking about selling it. And so everything kind of lined up perfectly. And so that was when the first time we met in person. And he's actually doing some crazy photography pinup tour right now. So he was actually driving through the Midwest, so that's why he stopped and visited. So what exactly you got going on?
Yeah, so a guy, iSims9, I think his name is, on Instagram, hit me up like a few months ago and wanted me to photograph, he's got a 49 Chevy pickup.
Cool, yeah.
That was kind of a hand-me-down from his dad, and then he had his dad's cars and his brother from another mother's cars, Braeden the Volkswagens, and he was like, how much would it cost for you to come down and shoot all this stuff, with the lighting and everything?
Yeah.
So we figured out a plan, and I was like, I just flown like a lot for work and stuff, and I was kind of over like flying for a little bit. So I was like, man, I wonder if I could turn this into a road trip.
Yeah, sweet.
It's been a minute. We didn't go to as many shows last year, so there's a lot less driving, and I like driving. So figured out a route and kind of like just started posting and hitting people up. A lot of friends of friends, people start tagging everybody.
Yeah.
So I picked up, 2 pinups in Kansas. We shot like 7 or 8 cars in Atlanta. A couple in Memphis. A pinstriper chick who's going for Inked magazine.
Okay,
competitions. Cool. Stopped by Mefford Motors, which was... Got a few minutes in that shop. That's the guy who does a lot of the American Pickers vehicles for Mike Wolf. So I got a few minutes there.
Sweet.
So I went from
So
Kearney down to
like
Georgia.
rapid fire mode there if you didn't get much time.
Yeah.
Straight up continuous. Bah, 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 bah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he's like, you have 5 minutes, because I was running late. It seemed like every day when I was able to get those. So he gave me a very gracious 5 minutes to shoot some stuff. So I just picked a couple of things that caught my eye and just really focused on those versus trying to like do the whole shop or anything. Yeah. So no lighting or nothing like that, just raw.
Natural light.
Yeah, 6400 ISO.
Woo!
That'll be fine because it's all full frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, excited to get back into those. I wasn't really looking at it, just boom, boom, boom.
Right.
So yeah, even though that was quick, it was still a pretty big highlight of the trip. So yeah.
That sounds awesome. I look forward to checking out all the stuff you did. So you kind of evolved from, I think when we first, honestly, I think the first time we met each other was on Instagram, because you were doing the KKOA show.
Yeah.
And like we went the same time, and so I was just looking at the hashtags and I saw you went the same year I did. So that's kind of how we started chatting. So when did you decide to you still kind of do car shows. When did you decide to gear more towards like pin up and private shoots? Because it seems like the last couple of years you've kind of, as a photographer, you're always going to grow each year, right?
Right.
And like your niche has kind of been like, pre-60s pinup and kind of, like solo shoots. Whereas, I love the pre-60s stuff, but as everyone watching knows, like I always kind of gear more towards drag racing, modern muscle,
Right.
70s muscle. Even though, it's on my bucket list, of course, get something that's pre-50s one day. I'm just not that I'm not at that stage yet.
Yeah.
So kind of when did you decide like, hey, I enjoy doing this versus just being like how kind of everyone starts and most people starting out with photography is car shows. How did you kind of evolve into that? I mean, because I see your work getting better and better each shoot, which if you haven't checked out his work, I'll definitely link it above or in the description or whatever so you guys can check it out. But I mean, it's pretty spectacular.
Well, I think you photograph what you like.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
And I like, pinup girls and like rockabilly stuff. So that's what I always gravitated towards, and that's what I always shot, because that's what I liked. So, and then once I started photographing more and more pinup girls, you kind of figured out like all the work they put into their, their get up and their look, and why you figure out their reasoning for doing the contest and all the confidence boosts that they can get. So the motivation kind of changed from just photographing what I like to, getting them some good photos that that really give them confidence and stuff.
Right.
And so eventually I just it was very organic. I don't try to steer this TymaPhoto thing. It just kind of goes where it goes.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's how it should be, right? You should enjoy what you do.
And so eventually, people started asking, well, how much for just a pinup shoot?
Sure.
And luckily, all the homeboys and the highway creepers, they've been supportive and lend me cars, things like that, to shoot with the pinup girls. So and then the lighting thing, and I'll just be honest with you, like when you came down to do the light painting thing, I had no interest in it.
It's
and that's
totally different.
Yeah. And I wanted you to come up and do that because the show, the Highway Creeper show, always has it's got my stank on it, right? It's always my photos.
Right.
And I thought it would be I love having other people come in, so that I can get a different perspective and there's different looks and different stuff. So when you did that, I still had no interest in really doing the lighting thing.
Right.
But
yeah, it was like 8 months later. I'm like, cool, he's starting to get into it.
Yeah. So you said it takes you like 3 hours per image, or 3 to 5 hours, I think it was per image, and I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I gotta figure out what all goes into that. I
think like the more, especially now after doing it for 3 years, the more you do it, the lesser edit time it takes. Because I mean, because I'd only been doing it at that point like 6 months.
Right.
And so I'm sure like you've noticed, you've kind of evolved your own edit style, which like your light painting is totally different than mine.
It
is.
We
each have our own styles, but the thing I love about light painting, or even like using a strobe in general, is that you can, to me, vehicles are artwork, right? So you can being able to show certain body lines that you want the viewer to see. That's what always attracted me to off-camera lighting. You know what I mean? Because you really don't get that look, and you don't really get that surreal look with just natural light.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I was in elementary school. You'd go to the book fair or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'd have the Lamborghinis and Ferrari posters that were it was all black, but then the car would be lit up. That's kind of what it reminded me of. And I guess I had borrowed my buddy Maddie's '72 Chevy for a show, just to drive something old to it, and for Scene of the Crash in Sioux City, Iowa, at the end of the third weekend in July. But
little plug there.
Yeah, but so and we got back super late, and so I just had it for a couple of days, just driving it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this light paint thing and see what really goes into it.
Yeah.
And then once I did it, I realized you could do a lot,
Sure.
And it's a lot. It's more creative, I think. 'Cause you're turning lights on and off, and there's such a process to it. So it's one of those things that kind of photography is one of those things where you can't just go out with your phone and do it,
Right. It's definitely something that for me anyways, the first probably 10 times I did it, it looked like garbage. It's just one of those deals where you got to find your own rhythm, find your own thing, find your own style. So I mean, it's definitely but once you get your own rhythm, get your own style, it definitely helps separate you from other people doing it. In town. So.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, just like you, myself, I mean, we're I'd say 90% of car photographers are car guys. So, I mean, I know you're doing a Model T truck, or is it a Model A?
28 Model A Ford pickup, a little traditional 60s hot rod pickup. And
you started that about a year ago, right?
A year or two ago. I I sold the blue car, bought a wagon, realized the wagon was a lot of room for me, even though it was probably the most reliable vehicle I ever owned. But so I got rid of that and put some money into other things just to figure out what I really wanted to do, right? Because I was like buying and selling every year, it seemed like. And then
I think the shoebox was the longest one you probably had.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
we kind of redid everything on that one, and I was just ready for something else, I guess. So.
And then he sold it, and literally like the next week, they chopped it.
Chopped it, tore it apart.
Like, man, like, cause it's so hard to find those when they're not chopped, or someone doesn't mess with the body. So like,
that's why I don't like chop anything. Everyone chops it now, and so I think when it looks like a jelly bean, like it did with the tall roof, I thought it was quirky.
Yeah. So like, my goal is to get something probably pre-33. And I'm not a big chopped guy either. I love when that body style is channeled, but I like keeping the, a small chop is fine on those, but like, I don't like those guys get super aggressive. They just don't look comfortable to drive. They look cool, but I think to me, like,
everyone does like the mild chops, and I'd say either chop it or don't. It's like go big or go home. I think.
Yeah, but to me, a vehicle should be built to function, in my opinion. Like, those guys that chop them super crazy and you're just like, man, how do they drive that thing? It looks cool, but to me, like, I wouldn't want to own something like that because I want to go out and enjoy it. You know what I mean? So
I get that. And you're a big fan of Bobby's 26 Model T.
Yeah, and so I'll throw an image of that on the screen now. But man, if that car ever came up for sale, like, I'd probably joked at least a couple times every year, like, is he ready to sell that thing?
Yeah.
Because
he's not selling it.
Yeah, because that car, like, this setup it's perfect. It's perfect. It has a cool story behind it.
He's got to be up to like 80,000 miles on it. It's his daily driver.
Yeah, he drives it everywhere.
And that's who's building my Model A. So
yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool, man. So, man, thanks for stopping by in this episode of Between a Hot Rod and a Toolbox.
Literally.
Let's go grab some barbecue, and from there, I guess we'll continue your drive home, man.
Cool, man.
Thanks for stopping by, brother.
Yep.